Hey guys, and welcome back to Series 3, Episode 11 of our house renovations.
In today's video, we finally install our pocket doors and also...
They are fabulous.
Yes, they are indeed fabulous. And I also do the final bit of prep work to get the final room of the house to the point where it can finally be plastered and we can finally turn it into a final room of the house.
Anyway, I just wanted to say, before we carry on with the video, a quick thank you to everyone who has watched this far.
Which is probably about, what, 20 seconds so
Thank you
far?
for making it this far.
If you've made it 20 seconds in today's video, thank you.
Please continue. Here's the rest.
So, something very, very cool has just turned up. You can probably tell from the shape of this box here. These are the two brand new doors we've got for the sliding doors or the pocket doors, which go into this section here. And I'm very excited to see them for the very, very first time. Ooh. So we have gone for this really nice kind of solid oak. Is it solid oak?
We'll go with that.
Oak veneer?
Veneer, yeah.
Veneer. This is like an oak veneer door with glass in the middle. It's kind of like glass sections all the way down. So you've got another piece of wood here. I'm going to keep the cardboard on for now because there's a few things I have to do to this door to make it work as a sliding door and a pocket door, because these are just normal doors. You can just put hinges on them and use them as a normal door, but because we're using this weird kind of mechanism, one of the main things I have to do is router out a channel in the bottom end of the door for this bit of metal to go through, because there's a little groove at the bottom of this sliding door mechanism where the pin has to basically slide up and down of this rail. So basically this groove section has to basically be inserted into this door here, which means I have to go outside and router a big channel out of the bottom side of the door. To make it easier for myself, I'm actually going to be routering it in like 5 different attempts. So basically just take away like a few mil each time and just get deeper and deeper, because it's quite scary doing this to a brand new door. That groove which I just routed out at the bottom edge of the door means that this metal strip fits in there absolutely perfectly, nice and flush. There's a few bits which have chipped up, but because it's the underside of the door, it really doesn't matter and you'll never see it. But that does mean now that I can basically fix this into position. Gosh, it's so dusty. So I'm just going to be using a bit of silicone as it's kind of like glue and adhesive. Make sure it's extra secure and it's not ever going to fall out. I've also got some teeny tiny little screws, and I just put some pilot holes in there as well, which basically means that this will make sure it's nice and secure, and when the door is like, when it's being used as the slider, this runner won't actually ever kind of like protrude the actual door. So now on the very top of the door, or the opposite side of where I just routed out that channel, I've got to put these 2 brackets on. Now these 2 brackets are where the actual like sliding mechanism, or like the runners or the wheels for the sliding mechanism kind of like slide onto these little slots. So these are actually quite important. So getting these in the right place and nice and square basically means that the door is going to hang nice, because these are the only 2 brackets which actually make the door slide.
They're important, basically.
They're important, yes. So the door is all up and working, and before I properly show you how it all works, I thought I would just jump on and explain something right now. The whole mechanism, the whole pocket door mechanism I explained in the previous video was from the company called Eclipse. Now, I've just spent hours and 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 hours trying to understand all of the different instruction manuals which was sent through. So basically you've got got one instruction manual which explains how the actual sliding mechanism works. You then have a second instruction manual which talks about the anti-slam mechanism. So basically when the doors open, that they softly kind of open and they don't slam together, the anti-slam system. And then there's also a third one which is a push-pull system, which basically means that when it's in the pocket like this, I can push the door and it springs out. So it's kind of like this spring-loaded mechanism up into the wall. But then I read online that the size of the doors that we have, they needed to email me a fourth load of instructions. The fourth one kind of overwrites what these ones say and give you different measurements and stuff. In the end, I gave up on their instructions because it was far too complicated. Then it just didn't make any sense in my eyes. The whole thing is a logical question or logical mechanism, and it took me about 10 minutes to work out how to fit it all together rather than trying to read and understand all of their different equations and mathematical things of how to get these things in the right place. Basically, it made way more sense just to look at it and put it on. So that's exactly what I did. And look at this. We have one door, we have two doors, and they don't slam. So I'll quickly show you the different mechanisms. We've got this kind of like push-pull system here. So as you can see, it's this sort of like spring-loaded magnet up there. So when we actually press the door, the actual mechanism here is basically a spring-loaded system. So that grabs onto this bit here, which is like a magnet. So it holds the door back, and then when you press it, it springs the door forward. And then we have the anti-slam mechanism, which is this sort of plastic bit up into the runner up here. There is a spring with a little catch on it, which basically catches the bit of metal up there. So when we actually slide the doors fully open, as you can see, it slowly brings them together, which is like the anti-slam. So we have that on both these doors. So when we actually open both of them, as you can see, they slowly come together and they don't actually slam together, hence anti-slam. And as you can see, there is not even a single gap between these two doors, and it looks absolutely awesome. And I'm really pleased with how this whole door mechanism is starting to look and how it's all coming together. And now these doors are all up and working, I can now get the plasterboard on this wall as well, which I really hope is going to start to tie both these rooms together and not just feel like this random kind of contraption in the middle of the room. I really hope that it's going to start to feel like two complete separate rooms, because that is the whole point of putting this partition wall in. Now, one of the final things we have to do in the house is sort out this porch area. And you might be looking at it now thinking to yourselves, is that the scene out of a horror movie? No, it is not. This is what the porch looks like, and it's quite embarrassing because it's pretty disgusting in here, but that basically means we need to give it a nice bit of TLC. Now, I have spent a little while in here reframing this window because we want to make this window a bit of a feature window when you come into the actual porch area. I think it's really cool, it's really quirky, and it's a little nod to its old self. We didn't want to lose all of the old characteristics of this house, even though we're trying to bring them up to a new modern standard. So putting this thicker piece of wood on here is kind of got two purposes. One is to make it even more of a feature, make it stand out a little bit more, and also it basically means that when we dot and dab plasterboard to this kind of brickwork, we can run the plasterboard directly into this piece of wood, and then when it's all done, we can then get some architrave and then we can reframe this piece of wood as well, so this whole window should be like a really nice kind of feature section. It's amazing how much difference it makes just by putting a little bit of plasterboard up. It's starting to look so much better now. Now, this is a little bit tricky trying to film in this tiny little porch, and obviously I'm covered in dust and everything, and picking up the camera, it's just quite awkward. That's why we're kind of like jumping around a little bit. But I have now stuck some plasterboard onto the exposed brickwork in the corner of the porch, and you might be able to tell from the angle you're at right now is the plasterboard I've stuck on is actually come off quite a bit from the actual brickwork itself. It's probably come off by about 40 or 50 mil. That is because the actual brickwork itself is not level, where the plasterboard I put on, I've basically used the spirit level, and I've made sure that the corner, or this joint here, is going to be nice and straight. So when it's all done, it just looks like a perfectly nice straight wall, even though the brickwork isn't. So what I have to do now, and you might have noticed that I've done it a few times, but I don't think I've actually spoke about it, but this is literally the last bit, so I thought I'd talk about it now. I'm basically using the old offcuts of the plasterboard, which would usually be wasted and just thrown away. I'm actually upcycling this and basically sticking all of the old offcuts of plasterboard to the uneven brickwork to help bring it back out level and nice and square. So then when I put my final piece of plasterboard on, which would be like this piece here, it has something to actually stick to. Now I know that just looks like a little bit of a bodge, and technically it is, but it's going to look a lot better when I put this final piece of plasterboard on. And now, as you can see, that plasterboard is all nicely stuck onto the corner of that brickwork, and it is looking so much better in here. And I've also made myself a bit of an art exhibition going on. This is just random pieces of wood and bits of scrap basically pushing against the other wall to make sure that all of this plasterboard adhesive is all nicely squidged up to make sure it's all nice and firm and solid. And oh, I'm so excited that that was pretty much the last bit of plasterboard that I needed to do. And now one of the very last things that I have to do in this room is to tape up all of the plasterboard joints. And this basically means that when it's plastered, it will stop any of those joints cracking.
And there we have it. Believe it or not, this whole area, all the areas, is now ready to plaster, which we won't be doing ourselves. We will be getting someone in to do the plastering.
Holly doesn't trust me.
It's not that I don't trust you, it's...
It's better to get a professional in to do the very final touch of the plastering.
We're going to see this, so we're going to hide all your hard work and just cover it all over with someone else's work.
But that hard work has literally been 6 months of hard work to get this room to where it is now.
It's been a long 6 months, but we do still have a lot of work to do after it's plastered. Then we've got to sort out all of the utility, do all of the things in the toilet, and then sort out all of the things out here. And if I'm brutally honest, the thing I'm most excited for is when there's a couple of little dogs here. I know we go on about every video, but this is the motivation. It's
we do have a Henrietta Hoover, which is
got a Henrietta.
Kind of our pet at the moment.
She's all we've got right now.
She does not look too happy down there.
She is livid. And these doors are something that I am so pleased with. You know when you have an idea in your head and you're not quite sure if it's actually a good idea? These turned out to be a great idea, because not only are they good for keeping the mess in here hidden, they're also good for keeping the dogs out of our laundry.
And it is so awesome how different this room now feels now that we've installed those pocket doors and that partition wall, which I'm still learning how to say partition, not petition. The whole look and feel of this room has completely changed, and the kind of look and feel of the house is now kind of changed because we're going to be using this house completely different. Now this room feels completely different. But as you can tell from the sort of mess behind us right now, we've still got a long way to go to get this to actually be a workable, usable utility, downstairs toilet and entrance hall. And
if you've made us this far, please can you do us a huge favor and give us a like, and if you're not already subscribed, please press that button because it does mean a lot to us.
And we've obviously got a lot more videos to go to finish this.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Series 3, Episode 11 of the House Renovations. James, we've got another one in the bag. Here we go again. Hey guys, and welcome back to Series 3, Episode 11 of our house renovations. Cut.
Cut, that's it.
Done.
Intro, done.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Series 3, Episode 11 of our house renovations.
You said 3.
3.
Series 3.
Series 3.
Ah, welcome to Series 3.
What did I put in our breakfast?
I finally do the...
Everything. James just does everything.
I just do things.
James just does things and makes it happen.